Put your seatbelts on and get ready for the ride. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Another week, another win for the New York Jets. Hello and welcome to another episode of In the Trenches with Gang Green. I'm your host, Bubbs. Today is Sunday, November 9th, and this is episode 655 of the In the Trenches with Gang Green podcast. I thank you, as always, for joining me. For those tuning in on YouTube, make sure to please like and subscribe. Of course, appreciate all of those tuning in on all the different audio podcast platforms. And the New York Jets picked up another win this afternoon to improve to 2-7 on the season. It is their first win at MetLife this year, so now 1-5 at home. And for the Cleveland Browns, they dropped to 2-7 on the season and still have not won a game on the road. Now 0-5 away from home this year, something that we talked about going into this game, right? A winless Jets team at home versus a winless Browns team on the road. Which one would break through? It is the New York Jets, and the New York Jets have now made it back-to-back wins. Coming off the bye week, they pick up a win. Prior to this, over the last 10 years, the Jets were 2-8 coming out of bye weeks. Jets have historically been known, specifically during this playoff drought and these last few really bad years, especially under Robert Saleh, and even prior to that, for struggling coming out of bye weeks and losing games coming out of bye weeks and not playing well coming out of bye weeks. And look, today was far from perfect. Today wasn't a pretty victory by any means. This was certainly an ugly game. It was ugly weather. It was just two football teams that have struggled this year going against each other. There was a lot of things that were not good in this game. There was certainly some ugliness in this game, no doubt about it, especially in the first half from this offense before things really started to pick up from Breece Hall in the second half. But it's still good to get a win. It's still good to see this team come out of a bye week, pick up a win. It's good to see Aaron Glenn and this coaching staff have this team ready to go, pick up a win with a group that has been through a lot in terms of the outside noise. And you have to give credit to Aaron Glenn and this coaching staff for that aspect of it all, right? We'll get into the on-the-field stuff. We'll obviously dive into offense, defense, Breece big day, Will McDonald monster day, the special teams. You guys know where I stand with all of this, right? I still want to see wins. I still want to see Aaron Glenn and his coaching staff show some sort of progress. We all know they're coming back. Aaron Glenn, Darren Muji, this regime's coming back. They essentially guaranteed themselves 2 more years with the draft picks that they picked up on Tuesday afternoon, trading away Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams in 2026 and 2027. 5 first-round picks over 2026 and 2027. 2 of them this upcoming draft, 3 more in 2027. They have guaranteed themselves time to build this thing, find the franchise quarterback, find the players that fit their identity and build this thing their way. With all that being known, you want to see them win games. You want to see Glenn and this coaching staff show progress. You want to see more buy-in from these players. You want to see that these players still buy in and still believe in Aaron Glenn. You want to see improvement out of certain players. And we continued to say it all year. The purpose of this season was to see progress from where we were in week 1 to when they walked off the field against the Buffalo Bills in week 18. You wanted to see progress from week 1 to week 18, whether it was whether it actually accumulated into wins and losses. You wanted to see this team get better. You wanted to see Aaron Glenn specifically get better. And for the first 7 weeks of the season, things were getting worse. They were going in the wrong direction. We had the one and done conversations a little bit on this podcast, but you have now seen here over these last 2 games some improvement. You have now seen this coaching staff, a couple players here start to improve. You have now back-to-back wins. You want to see those things, and you would rather see those things now, which is why I'm perfectly fine with the win, happy with the win, and why I think most Jet fans should be on board with that aspect is you would rather these things happen now in November Then late in December, where the Jets are 0-13, 0-14, and then they win 2 of their final 3, and they say, "Oh, buy in, it's okay, we ended the season on a high note, and we're going to take this into next year." No. You would rather see this now. You would rather see it's still only November 9th. There's still a lot of football left to be played. There was still enough time, despite how bad the first 7 games were, for Aaron Glenn and this coaching staff to start to show some improvement. And they have now done that. They have now won 2 games in a row. You'd rather see this happen now, where there's still a lot of football left to be played, than in December. That's a different story. You're 0-13, you're 0-14. That's a different story. But now, it's good to see improvement. It's good to see back-to-back wins. It's good to see this team come out of a bye week and win a football game for once, something that they do not do well historically. Forget just coming out of bye weeks. Extra time to prepare. They do a terrible job of that. And all we talked about the last 2 weeks was, what does this team look like coming out of the bye week, and how does this team build on the Cincinnati performance? And while it wasn't as pretty and as entertaining as what took place 2 weeks ago in Cincinnati, it is still a win. And that Bengals game would have been meaningless if the Jets went out there today, laid a dud, and lost this football game. But they didn't. They won. It's now 2 straight victories in a row, and you keep the train moving here with another game on a short week Thursday night, going up to Foxborough against a red-hot Patriots team, who all of a sudden now, with the Bills loss today, look like they're running away with the division after a big win against the Buccaneers to now get to 8-2 on the season. So obviously a massive challenge for the Jets, and we'll get into that game as time moves on here. But that's the biggest thing I can just say here, kind of as an open, is the fact that Aaron Glenn, even with all the outside noise, and I want to bring this up too, whether it was 2 weeks ago when Woody Johnson on the Tuesday before the game against the Bengals goes out and publicly destroys Justin Fields. It then adds more on Glenn's plate, where he has to address the locker room. He then has to address Fields about those comments. And it just added unnecessary headlines and unnecessary noise around the New York Jets. Despite all of that, he was able to get that team ready to go on the road against the Bengals and win. You now have a week where you traded away Quinnen Williams, trade away Sauce Gardner. You're wondering how the locker room is going to respond, the message it sends to the locker room, the shock it sends in the locker room when 2 players the caliber of Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner go. And a couple days later, you come out at home and you find a way to win. And I'm happy about that. And by no means was it pretty. It was ugly. But you want to see progress. You want to start to see some wins. You want to start to see some good things from this regime, from certain players on this team, as you really look towards the future. And even in an ugly game today, you did see some positive things. You did see some good things out of certain players. And I think we have to start with the special teams, because that's really how this game started. And if it wasn't for the special teams, we would be talking about a New York Jets loss, and we'd be talking about a New York Jets loss where it was another poor afternoon for Justin Fields. And believe me, it was still a poor afternoon for Justin Fields. But from the special team standpoint for the New York Jets this afternoon, it was massive. First time in franchise history, you get a kick return and a punt return in the same game. Kene Nwangu with a kickoff return. By the way, the first kickoff return for the Jets since his kickoff return last year against Seattle. Nwangu is quickly turning into, not quickly, but what Kene Nwangu is able to do when he is healthy is really crucial for this team. I don't think many people have realized it, but he is a heck of a returner and a really impactful football player for this team when he's healthy. The problem is he hasn't been able to stay on the football field. And we mentioned that actually a little bit earlier in the year. The difference in the first couple of games for the Jets, if Kene Nwangu was healthy early in the season, right? You don't have the Xavier Gipson fumble probably against Pittsburgh. You even go to the Miami debacle, although Isaiah Williams, who will give him his flowers here in a second, but you had issues there. You then had Braylon Allen back returning kicks. He probably doesn't get hurt. The Kene Nwangwu absence early in the season actually really hurt this team in many ways. And his impact when he's on the field, while it hasn't been many opportunities because he's been dealing with injuries, only 2 games last year, and today was just his 4th game in 9 possible games, but has the kick return, had the kick return last year. He's a very good kick returner and a piece that you can hope can continue to be a piece for the future. He just has to stay healthy. He's got to stay on the field. He's got to be available. He hasn't been available enough, but when he is, he's a good returner and he's a big piece for this team. And special teams is huge. We always talk about special teams a lot, right? In terms of, it's one of those things where you don't really appreciate it until you don't have it. And we saw last year the impact of bad special teams play. We even have seen it earlier this year, the impact of bad special teams play, whether it be the Xavier Gipson fumble, whether it be against Pittsburgh, whether it be the Isaiah Williams fair catch on the 2-yard line and the fumble against Miami, having Braylon Allen back returning kicks. Then he gets hurt. We saw the impact of bad returning, bad special teams to open up this season. But today was a really strong day, and it started with the Kene Nwangwu touchdown. And an Isaiah Williams also, by the way, 99 yards kick return, and an Isaiah Williams with a 74-yard kick return, punt return rather, to get this game to 14-7 on back-to-back big special teams plays for the New York Jets. And we have to say this about Isaiah Williams, and I'll say it. I think most Jet fans would say it. You have to give Isaiah Williams major props. You have to give Isaiah Williams a lot of credit, and we were all wrong about Isaiah Williams, and that at least is what it seems like. Not what it seems like. That's been the case for now the last couple of weeks. After the debacle on Monday Night Football in Week 4 against the Dolphins, where he had the fair catch on the 2-yard line, where he had the fumble, and that start right after being picked up with, moving on from Xavier Gipson, you pick up Isaiah Williams, right after all of that, to have that on prime time, that bad of a first impression with this team in this market, to be able to turn around. And not many times do you see Jets start that poorly in their Jet career and then find a way to turn it around. And he's done just that. He had a really good game against the Bengals, made a couple plays from a receiving standpoint. He's now had a couple good returns. Today, the highlight with the punt return touchdown for 74 yards. He has now completely turned around what looked like a disastrous, one and done type of Jet career, where every Jet fan, including myself, wanted him to be left in Miami after that debacle on prime time. To be able to turn around and put together the season that he's been able to put together, you have to give him a lot of props. You have to give him a lot of respect for that. He has turned into a good piece for this team. He's turned into a weapon on special teams, and he's even made some plays from a receiving standpoint. Now, you build this receiving room back up. Isaiah Williams in 2026 is not going to be playing nearly as big of a role, shouldn't be playing as nearly as big of a role, but he's really carving out a role for himself to be the punt returner of the future for this team. And you already have Kene Nwangwu, and I think that's something that we can talk about from a future standpoint that you can be happy about with the New York Jets, and that is the special teams, which is Chris Banjo has been able to get this unit as the season has gone on to play better. Forget just the kick return, the punt returning that we just talked about, but the punter and Austin McNamara has had a good season, had another really good day today. Nick Folk, as old as he is, he's still got it even at 41. Just turned 41, a couple days ago on November 5th. This is a player who, for the rest of this year, potentially even next year, however he wants to keep playing, how he's still got it. He's shown no signs of slowing down. Another perfect day today for Nick Folk. You can start to feel good about this Jet special teams moving forward. Isaiah Williams, Kene Nwangwu, you have your punter, you have your kicker. Those things are big. I mean, they're nobody's going around bragging about special teams, but how bad, how much does it hurt you when your special teams isn't there? It kills you in games. We saw that earlier this year. But as the season's gone on, you've started to get some answers at kick and punt returner. As the year has gone on, we've had McNamara's had a really good year. Nick Folks had a really good year. You have to feel good about the special teams play you've gotten this year. Through even some of the losses, you have to feel pretty good about it. And you hope this can continue the rest of the way going into next season as well. And you have to give Banjo credit there from that standpoint too, especially with Isaiah Williams. This was a player who was down and out. To be able to actually get something out of him, that's a good thing. It's what you want to see. Can't always just be doom and gloom. You have to find some of these positives, and you've seen some of these positives. So that was the special teams, massive role today. If it wasn't for them, you don't win this football game. Now you move on to the offense. Very interesting day for the offense. First half was awful. I mean, -5 net passing yards in the first half. It started to feel a lot like the Denver game again with Justin Fields, where he was unplayable, just incompetent, couldn't complete a pass. There was clearly no faith in Tanner Engstrand, Engstrand clearly had no faith, rather, in Justin Fields. They were not stretching the ball downfield. Arian Smith was open on one point down the field. Fields just didn't throw it. It was ugly. And I was certainly in the mindset of potentially hoping they would bench him and bring in Tyrod. I would have brought Tyrod in to start the half. Second half, they didn't. They kept Fields out there. And thank goodness for Breece Hall. Breece Hall with a huge day today. 21 carries, 83 yards on the ground, and then added 42 yards on a touchdown reception on a screen play. How many times have we banged the table on this podcast? And I think every other Jet fan out there has banged the table for more screens, more passes to Breece Hall. They finally did that today, and it goes for 42 yards and a touchdown and a massive score in the fourth quarter for this team. 125 total yards today in the touchdown. You have to extend Breece Hall. I've said this a couple of times now on the podcast. Breece Hall should be extended. Breece Hall is a player that you keep around for the future. And Breece Hall especially is a player that you keep around for your rookie quarterback that you're going to draft. This team needs as many weapons as you can get. And letting Breece Hall go just kind of feels like you're creating an unnecessary hole in a way on offense. Because you look at the way this offense is structured, you feel a lot better about putting your rookie quarterback in a situation with this offensive line, Garrett Wilson, Mason Taylor, and Breece Hall. That's a really good starting point for a rookie quarterback, as opposed to moving on from Breece Hall and then finding a solution that most likely is probably not going to be as good as Breece Hall. Let's tell it like it is. Breece Hall quietly has put together a really good season. There's been some inconsistencies at times with this rushing offense, no doubt about it. But Breece Hall this year has already had 3 games this season of over 100 rushing yards. He has now had 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. He had another 83 rushing yards today. He's on his way to his first 1,000 rush yard campaign. He's put together a very good season. And I'd still argue, and I think most Jet fans would still argue, that he hasn't been used still to the fullest of his ability. Right? I think most Jet fans would argue that. I would certainly argue that. Despite all of that, again, bad quarterback play, team stacking the boxes, the Jets offense being predictable, he's still putting together a very good season. And what makes Breece Hall so good is what you saw from him today, where he hits the open field and he makes it look so effortless. And that's something you didn't see a lot of last year, where he was dealing with the knee injury, was clearly not 100%. He didn't have that same burst. He didn't have that same hit the open field and make it look so effortless. The vision this year has also been very good. There was a couple runs today where his vision was really, really good. That was an issue last year that's been cleaned up this season. You have to keep Breece Hall around. He's a building block for the future. Show him the money, keep him around. He'll want to stay here. Put a rookie quarterback in with this team. Having Breece Hall next to him in the backfield is significant to that rookie quarterback's development. Huge building block for that rookie quarterback to have, and a huge building block for this offense. Forget the rookie quarterback, just a huge piece for Tanner Engstrand to continue to use in the future. You have to keep Breece Hall around. You have to. 100% have to. And today is not the only reason we're saying that. The big game against Cincinnati. He's had a couple big games this year. Yeah, he had the fumble against Dallas, but even in that game, he rushed for over 100, had the really big game against Pittsburgh. He's had some really big moments this year. Despite everything that's gone on with this offense, he's quietly on his way to a 1,000-yard rushing season. First in his career. Breece Hall's a big-time playmaker for this offense. And when he's on, is one of the better backs in football. So, Breece Hall, big day today. Other receiving-wise, passing, it was awful. Disgusting. Justin Fields was terrible. There's not much else to say. Couple conservative with Fields, weren't really stretching the field. The one time he actually threw it deep was to Garrett Wilson, and then Garrett Wilson ended up getting banged up on the play and had to get taken out and miss the rest of the game with the re-aggravating the knee. So see how that plays out on a short week. We'll see if Garrett will be out there on Thursday night. But Fields was awful. 6 passes completed, had the interception. Brown's corner just completely jumped the route. Gross throw by Fields. Just didn't see him and sort of telegraphed the pass too. He didn't do anything really with his legs. It was bad. It was bad all around today from Fields. And the unfortunate part is the offensive line. This isn't unfortunate, but the offensive line actually did a good job of containing Myles Garrett. He only had 1 sack. For the most part today, Myles Garrett was contained, even against the run too. There was a lot of, Myles Garrett, very good against the run. He grades out as the best run defending defensive end in the NFL going into this game. We all talk about his pass rush ability, but his run defense ability is very strong too. He didn't have a huge day today. Myles Garrett didn't have that dominant Myles Garrett day today. In a game where last week he had 5 sacks against the Patriots, he came out there today, or 2 weeks ago because they had their bye, he came out there, only had 1 sack. And with an elite player like Myles Garrett, that's what you need. You need to just contain him. He's going to have his sacks, he's going to have his moments, but you got to limit those. And Armand Membu and Olu Fashanu did a really good job of limiting those today. And that's what stings about the whole Justin Fields passing game performance is it wasn't like he was under relentless pressure. He's just not good. He's just not good. Carves up Cincy's defense because they stink. Brown's defense that's good was awful. And it was another one of those days where guys were open. He just doesn't throw the ball. And there was clearly early in the game no faith in Tanner Engstrand. Or Tanner Engstrand, no faith in Fields throwing the ball. And even before the half, it was another one of them conservative before the half type of drives from the Jets, where they were running it, playing it slow, no real tempo. It was ugly. Ugly. Your leading receiver was Breece, who had the 42-yard receiving touchdown. That 42-yard receiving touchdown reminded me a lot of the receiving touchdown that he had against the Giants 2 years ago now in that ugly rain game where the Jets won against Tommy DeVito, where Brian Dable was scared to throw at DeVito. That was actually also coming out of bye week. The only bye week win, the only post-bye week win that Saleh had in his tenure was that game against the Giants. And that Breece Hall screen pass on that touchdown against the Giants was the only big play of the day. That reminded me a lot of today. Passing offense was awful, but one play to Breece Hall in the rain, coming out of a bye week, got it done. You didn't see A.D. Mitchell was inactive, so you didn't see a ton from him, or didn't see any from him because he didn't play. So hope to see him on Thursday. Just got dealt on Tuesday. It was only 3 days of practice. Just needs to get caught up with the playbook, so he wasn't out there. John Mechie was, which makes sense, got traded a week earlier. He only had 1 catch. They did try the end around with Mechie. Didn't work, actually lost 7 yards. So rough day overall from the receiving standpoint. It was Breece with 42 yards, and then Isaiah Williams had a catch for 4 yards. Mason Taylor, 1 catch, 4 yards. John Mechie, 1 catch, 3 yards. Isaiah Davis, 1 catch, 1 yard. Nothing else going. Nothing at all. So Ruckert had a catch that went nowhere. So receiving other than Brees. It was nothing was happening. Offensive line was good, especially slowing down Myles Garrett. Didn't have a monster day, so that's good. In terms of the defense, Will McDonald, what a day it was for him. Massive day for Will McDonald. And Will McDonald's had an interesting season so far because he went out against Pittsburgh, had 2 sacks, a really strong game, and then followed that up with a stretch of, I don't want to say poor play, but a stretch of not what you would expect type of play from Will McDonald. Now, he did have the blocked field goal, return against the Bucs, but from a pass rushing standpoint, didn't have the same juice he had last year after that game against Pittsburgh. Had that really good game against Pittsburgh, and it went 6 straight games without registering a sack. And now you've started to see here over the last 2 games, Will McDonald round back into form. Last week against Cincy, he had the sack on the second to last drive for the Bengals, where the Jets defense was able to step up on the final 2 drives and get 2 stops when it mattered most, despite the struggles the rest of the game. Will McDonald had that sack in the 4th quarter against Cincy, and then followed that up today with 4 sacks. Huge day for Will McDonald, monster day for Will McDonald, one of his best games of his career today for Will McDonald. I think the craziest part of today, just looking at the numbers aspect, is he had 3 sacks going into this game, and he had 4 sacks today. 3 sacks in 7 games, or 8 games rather, going into today. And today in 1 game, he had 4 sacks, and actually got 4 sacks in 3 quarters. That's how dominant Will McDonald was today. Huge day for him. And that was something that we talked about going into this game. The path to victory for the Jets was getting pressure on Dillon Gabriel, and they were able to do that. He got taken down 6 times today. When you face a rookie quarterback like Dillon Gabriel, who's had his fair share of struggles, by no means is tearing it up, going through some growing pains, coming off of a bad week against the Patriots 2 weeks ago where he really struggled. What do you have to do in these conditions? Get home, get to the quarterback, and they did just that. Dominant day for Will McDonald. 4 sacks, 5 QB hits. Now 4 of those were the sacks. But he also added on another quarterback hit. Quincy Williams had a sack, and Jermaine Johnson also had a sack today. Quincy Williams was flying around today. But Jermaine with a sack, that's good to see. So post-trade deadline, defensive line New York Jets with 6 sacks this afternoon. Very impressive day for them. But certainly a big day for Will McDonald. And you want to see this out of Will McDonald because this year, for the first 7 games, that was not the dominant Will McDonald you want to see. Only 2 sacks in 7 games. But these last 2 weeks now, 5 sacks in the last 2 games. Let's see this continue. That's what you want to see out of Will McDonald. Jermaine with the sack as well. There was a couple other plays where Jermaine was around Dillon Gabriel. Continue to talk about the importance of Jermaine Johnson on this Jets defense. Quincy Williams, very kind of similar to the Jamian Sherwood benching, was benched and was in the game anyway. Kiko Maui-Noa wasn't even active. But Quincy Williams is flying around today. By far his best day of the season, best game of the season. So clearly took the benching, used it as a little bit of fuel, used it as a little bit of motivation, and went out there and put together his best game of the year. He had a sack, 2 tackles for loss. He was flying around. A couple other tackles. Ended the day with 8 tackles. He was flying around. He looked like more 2023 version of Quincy Williams today, which was a good thing. Jamian Sherwood had the 1 penalty, but I actually thought he had a pretty good day today, specifically on the first drive. First run play, he blew it up. Clogged the hole, blew it up, so that was good. So Sherwood made a couple plays today too. Both Quincy Williams and Jamian Sherwood kind of looked more like the players they've been in previous years than they've been this year out of those 2. In terms of the secondary, Jarvis Brownlee had a rough sequence, had the pass interference, and then was late getting to Njoku. He had a couple plays where he struggled with just coverage, couple penalties when they shifted him to outside corner. and they were playing Isaiah Oliver in the nickel, and that's when A.Z. Thomas went down. A.Z. Thomas took a brutal hit, friendly fire from Jamian Sherwood, and he left the game with a concussion, which stinks because, number one, you want him out there. Number two, probably won't play against the Patriots. And for a young player like A.Z. Thomas, filling the shoes of Sauce Gardner, you want him out there as much as possible. You want him playing in all of these games, getting as much experience as possible to really evaluate what he looks like. You want to see consistent improvement out of him, especially after a game against the Bengals where he showed some good things in his first start. He showed some good things against the Panthers when he came in for Sauce, who got injured in that game. You want to see growth out of his A.Z. Thomas. You want to see how he looks here down the stretch. Getting hurt today, and then now probably not playing Thursday, so probably misses that game. That stinks. He had the one penalty, but then turned it around a couple drives later, had a pass defended, which was good. Right, rookie, there's going to be penalties, there's going to be mistakes, but you also want to see some of the good. That's all part of the growing experience. But it stinks for A.Z. Thomas to see the injury. You don't want to see that out of any player, but specifically a guy like him where all this playing time is so important as he learns here. But yeah, the secondary was couple bumps. I mean, Jarvis Brownlee was playing some outside, clearly better in the nickel than playing outside. A.Z. Thomas left with the injury. Touchdown on Brandon Stevens. Horrible two-play sequence, by the way. You have the Justin Fields interception, and one play later, you have the 22-yard touchdown pass to Jerry Jeudy. That was about as bad as a two-play sequence as you could get. And those are the type of things that can't happen. Like in a season when the Jets are eventually, hopefully good or just competitive, those are the type of plays that can't happen. You can't have an interception on your own side of the field. First play of the drive, by the way. Like first, the Jets, Browns punt, Jets get the ball, first play of that offensive drive, interception, and the first play on the defensive drive, you allow a touchdown. Like that's a two-play sequence that's what separates bad football teams and good football teams. And as much as winning 2 games is nice, the Jets are still a bad football team. But those are the things that you've got to clean up. Those are the things that you hope better quarterback play, better defense in the future, hopefully. Things like that don't happen because that was a big shift. And it would be a big shift in a game that really mattered if it was 2 good teams battling it out. Instead, it's, 2 teams that are, getting January and February off, if you will. So that's pretty much it. Good win. It was ugly, but a win's a win. You want to see Glenn and this coaching staff rack up some wins here. You want to see some improvement out of this coaching staff. You want to see some wins. That's what you want to see. And it's still to the point of the season, and I continue to say, the Jets weren't going to get the number 1 overall pick. They weren't going to go winless. Throw this out there as well. They loaded up with draft capital. You love a quarterback so much, trade up. You have continued to say this time and time again. It's not so much where you're picking, it's who's making the pick. It's your evaluation. It's all of that. I mean, how many times has the first quarterback off the board been not the best in the draft class? A lot of them. These last couple classes, the first quarterback off the board hasn't been the best one. You've got to find the right guy, whether you're picking 1 or picking 5th, which is where the Jets are now. So Jets win. Another Victory Monday tomorrow. Back-to-back Victory Mondays. Enjoy. I'm enjoying it. Don't know how many more of these the Jets are going to get this season, especially when you look at the upcoming schedule here. Not to be negative, but you get New England on the road on Thursday night. You then get Baltimore, who all of a sudden has turned their season around with a healthy Lamar back. They've won 3 in a row. You get them on the road, which is certainly a tall task. So don't know how many more wins you're going to get this year. So enjoy this one. Enjoy this back-to-back win as the Jets are undefeated in November. How does that sound? Get set. Short week, New England on Thursday night. So appreciate you all as always. We'll be back tomorrow with more day after thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts on this win from the New York Jets? Happy? Upset? Where do you stand? Let me know down below. Appreciate you all. Until next time, JETS. Jets.